Hi, my name is Bob Skilnick, and we're going to do a recipe here today. You can find more about this recipe at my website at beerinfood.com, and you can also find more than 90 beer-related recipes in a new book I have out now called Beer and Food in American History. It has a foreword by Jim Koch from the Boston Beer Company. I know you'll like it. Just stop by beerinfood.com. Now, first thing we want to do with this cookie crunch is to make a base, to make a crust. This is 18.5 ounces of German chocolate cake. You could buy it at the grocery store. I think this one was a Betty Crocker mix. And to that we're also going to add this is a half a cup of crushed salted pretzels. Next we're going to take half a cup of butter. Melted, this is just about melted. And half a cup of butter is actually a stick of butter too. And lastly, we're going to add, let's see, an egg. Blend it together until it has just a nice pliable consistency. And then we're going to take it into a 13 by 9 inch pan. I have a Pyrex here. And put it down and make it as a crust and put it in the oven. So let's take this, mix it a little bit. Now you don't want to beat it to death. All you want to do is get everything sort of melted together. Okay, when it starts to clump and you can see it's trying to form a solid ball or a couple of larger balls, it's ready. And what I've done here is I've taken a 13 by 9 inch Pyrex pan and I've sprayed it with a little bit of cooking spray. You can use butter too, but since this already has butter in it, it's sort of rich. After you get it into the pan, just work it with your fingertips all the way around, making sure you don't have any high spots or low spots. And we're going to take this and put this in a preheated 350 degree oven for about 15 minutes because you want this partially cooked. And then we're going to add our toppings, including a surprise ingredient, which will, I think, be a bit of a shocker, but adds to this recipe what I call the wow factor, because every time you tell people what's in the recipe, including the mystery ingredient, the first thing they say is, wow. We're going to put it in the oven and we'll check on this in about 15 minutes. Should have it sort of a consistency like this, pretty solid. Okay, while we're waiting for the crust to cook, we're going to do the filling itself, and this is a pretty unique filling. What I've done here is I've taken about 1/8 of a cup of pure cane sugar and I've mixed it with 1/8 of a cup of light malt extract, the powder. And malt extract is probably not as sweet as cane sugar, but I wanted to pick up a little bit of sort of a malty undertone with this too. That goes in first. Now the second ingredient is a combination actually of let's say a half a cup of dark corn syrup. Karo is a typical suspect when you're using corn syrup, but I wanted to once again enhance the flavor with a bit of maltiness, so I have here a small can of malt extract. This is a pale malt extract. We're going to throw it in just to mix it up with the corn syrup. That goes right in. We also have 2 eggs. 3/4 cup of pecans. If you don't have pecan, I don't see any reason why you couldn't use almonds or walnuts. We have a cup of butterscotch chips. These are Toll House. It's a nice, I think it'll work well with the maltiness that's in here too. A cup of flaked coconut. This is also a cup of chocolate morsels. I actually ran out of morsels, so I have a mixture of morsels and semi-sweet chocolate chunks. All the same thing though. Throw that right in. And then the mystery ingredient. is actually drained and rinsed sauerkraut. Pretty well rinsed. And when you tell your friends what is in this recipe, and you say sauerkraut, believe me, they're all going to go, wow. And that's the wow factor I was talking about. Put it all together and slowly mix it until it's well blended. Keep it at a slow speed. You can smell the malt. Check it a little bit. Bring some of the ingredients back down. Wow, that's good. That's really good. Okay, that's pretty well done. Now when the crust is done, we're going to lay this out, put it back in the oven, bake it another 30 to 40 minutes until it's golden. Let it cool a little bit, and I think we're going to pair this with I've got some oatmeal stout in the refrigerator. I think a stout would go well with this to kind of, play with the sweetness. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes. Pan's still a little bit hot, but the crust so-so, and I'm an impatient guy and I really want to try this recipe. So, here's what the crust will look like. Sort of like almost like a brownie. And now we're going to take the innards, the filling, just put it on all over. And this really has a nice malty richness to it. And there's no doubt in my mind that pairing this with the beer is going to be the icing on the cake, so to speak. So, take it, spread it out, so now this is going to bake for 30 to 40 minutes. Now remember, you can find this recipe on film, and we also have some photos of it too, give you a blow-by-blow account on how to make the recipe on the website beerinfood.com. And don't forget the book. It's a wonderful book, and if you really want to know more about the history of American beer meeting up with American food, this is the book. Also has a fine history here interwoven throughout a lot of the recipes, some going back as far as the 1700s. Okay, for what we've all been waiting for, take a little taste. Very malty, rich smell to it. I sneaked the taste actually before I did this, and it's sweet. And I take back thinking the idea maybe of having a porter with this. You definitely need something with a little bite, something that contrasts the sweetness. At the moment I'm having a Goose Island oatmeal stout. It does a good job. It's not a very sharp offsetting contrast, but still good nonetheless. I had a little bit of fruit yogurt here, which works well too because of the lactic bite to it. But you could use whipped cream, you can use a vanilla ice cream. But all in all, this really came out nice. And the idea that there's a cup and a quarter of sauerkraut here is the furthest thing from my mind. So remember, that's the wow factor in this dish, is the fact that there's actually sauerkraut, malt syrup, and powdered malt extract here too. So until next week, here's to you.